underdogs. Though it is somewhat of an overused trope in fiction and writing, it can also apply to real life too. Today, I want to take a look at some of the groups and idols I would consider underdogs. These are the groups that, despite all odds, managed to rise to fame and grant themselves victory through different measures. What this video is not, however, is a video of almosts. There are plenty of one-hit wonders out there, but I want to focus on the ones that were able to make their 15 minutes of fame last a lot longer than just 15 minutes. All these groups are widely known by the average K-pop fan and have made a name for themselves within the industry. The only criteria is that they don't come from a well-known company or have any other factors aiding them in becoming a household name. Everyone expects groups like TXT, ITZY, and even IVE to be popular from debut, because of who they are and where they came from. Nobody expected to see a group like ATEEZ get to where they are now. Anyways, enough of this intro, let's get to the video.
There's something to tell you. You want me to share it with you?
Stacy guys, it's going down.
I actually debated adding STAYC for a couple of reasons. One, even though their company is small, the people running it are certainly not. Money and influence alone is usually enough of a reason to make people pay attention. Two, they've been a relatively well-known name since debut. While it may not have been the most successful of debuts, their debut was still widely loved by K-pop fans, and they have managed to keep that hype up till now, if not nearly double the attention that they have. And 3. I honestly think that everything they've done this far is only half of what they're capable of. They just keep growing and growing so quickly, but they still kind of feel like they came out of nowhere, and as I said before, show no signs of slowing down anytime soon, so I feel like it's only fair to add them to this list. They're still so new, so there's only so much to be said, but I really do feel like they are making waves with their music, which is one of the reasons I think people are still paying attention. I mean, I feel like good music should be almost expected coming from a group like them, but how their releases are staggered also seem like a great marketing strategy. A debut that capitalizes on recent trends while still showing off the members' strong suit, their vocals. Following with a catchy comeback right around the corner that got everybody dancing and singing along. Then a follow-up with a sweet-sounding song that really solidified their overall sound and style. And finally, a song that feels like almost a re-up of their debut, mixed with some of their other songs' influences as well, showing people how far they've come in such a short amount of time. These girls are hitting it on all cylinders, and I cannot wait to see where they will go from here. ATEEZ is one of the more interesting ones when it comes to this list as to how they rose to fame. There wasn't one song, one video, one fancam, even one member that managed to outshine the others. They didn't do it from shock value, whether positive or negative. They've just done what everyone else has done and did it, well, better. Their songs are good, great even, but their overall sound doesn't stand out compared to other boy groups right now. Their concept and style is also pretty one-of-the-mill compared to others. Yet, somehow they still manage to shine a light of their own, and in my eyes, that's almost even more impressive that they can do what basically everyone else is doing and still stand out doing it. It might not have taken them as long as others on this list to really be seen as something worthwhile in people's eyes, but it certainly was not an easy journey nonetheless. Pouring their hearts and soul into their albums, music, stages, interviews even, and right when it seemed like they weren't going to get anywhere, suddenly somebody was paying attention. Suddenly they were being talked about in all corners of the internet, being invited to shows that they would have never even dreamed of before. Their dreams were coming true right in front of their very eyes, and the amazing team backing them up was with them every step of the way. There wasn't any big moment or anything to make people look at them, just pure talent being recognized for what it is. It felt natural in a way, and as someone that watched them from debut until now, it really felt like they were slowly growing into something that people can't ignore. It was like you couldn't look away any longer. I'm really glad they managed to get here in the way they did, and I really hope to see them continue to grow for many years to come. NU'EST feels like less of a rise to fame and more of a redemption of stardom. I think we all know their story by now, and now that the storybook is finally closing, I believe now is as good a time as any to look back on their years as a group. NU'EST is probably one of the only groups I feel like I could truly write a moral about. Never give up on your dreams, hard work pays off, what you give in is what you get out with them. They spent 10 long years on a roller coaster of constant ups and downs, and not a single one of them let go until the very end. Swallowing their pride and on the cusp of disbandment, they did what very few other people would likely have the guts to do in their position. And wow, did it pay off. They went from being the embarrassment of produce to having one of their members in the most popular boy group in the world. Not only that, but even their own music finally took off. Their old songs were charting, people were talking, and finally, disbandment was nothing but a distant memory. More importantly though, they managed to keep the attention they garnered. It's easy for someone to get their 15 minutes of fame, it's a lot harder for it to hold out after that. They managed to stay away from fads and trends while still releasing music that was easily enjoyable. and that alone was enough for people to realize that they really knew what they were doing. I seriously cannot express how proud of them I am for everything that they have accomplished in their careers. They have more guts and willpower in their pinky finger than most people have in their whole body. 10 long years of nothing but sweat and tears paid off in one of the most beautiful ways imaginable, and I just hope that they can look back on it with happy memories. Oh My Girl had such a sudden rise in popularity that people actually thought they were a rookie group, which is still one of the funniest things to me. While they weren't the most unsuccessful group prior to Queendom, they certainly were not where they are now. They had a few popular songs and had gotten some recognition for their soft, sort of magical girl-inspired music, but that all changed in 2019. Using the popularity they garnered off of Queendom, they quickly got to work making even more music, and now finally people were paying attention. Non-Stop was a non-stop hit and felt like the first step in the right direction in a long time, and we all know what came with Non-Stop. Honestly, I still think that Soobin was one of the main reasons that people hyped the song up as much as they did, but I'm not complaining. Honestly, this has to be one of the most widely known B-sides from an album since Monsta X's Hero. People were finally paying attention to them, and even if some of it was just for the meme, it was nice. Then, a little while later, Dun Dun Dance came out, and it was clear from then on that Oh My Girl wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. They had finally managed to get to where they had always wanted to be and had no plans of letting go of it anytime soon. It's actually kind of impressive that with only 2 official Korean comebacks, they managed to hold on to their popularity. The only downside, I would say, is that their older music hasn't gotten much attention since they have blown up. But you win some, you lose some, I guess, and I'm sure they're happy with what they have accomplished so far. I'm just glad they were able to get the second chance to make their dreams come true. I guess it's time to address the elephant in the room. It's hard to talk about the underdogs without talking about one of the biggest underdogs of all time. Admittedly, I was like 10 when they debuted, and even on the off chance I did listen to a few K-pop songs, I certainly was not looking deep enough into it to care about, well, anything. So most of this will just be a retelling of an old story, which sadly I feel like has been twisted a bit by both parties to make their point seem more legitimate. That being said, even if BTS had come from more of a well-known company at debut, where they are now is still an incredible accomplishment and something that needs to be talked about. BTS is proof that a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck really can go a long ways. Much like ATEEZ, there wasn't any breakout moment with BTS's popularity. It was more of a steady incline rather than just an instant shoot-up from one thing in particular. However, where, why, and how BTS's popularity rose is a little bit harder to decipher. I think a lot of people would chalk it up to luck, or destiny, sort of a right place, right time sort of deal, and I feel like that's a fair conclusion. However, I definitely do still think that there's more to it than that. Maybe their initial increase in popularity could be chalked up to destiny or something of the sort. However, where they are now in their careers seem to be a little too well thought out to be just destiny. I really don't want to talk too much about their company because this is supposed to be a video about the group themselves, but even though everyone has their complaints about HYBE, I think they have done an amazing job with their groups thus far. They've managed to take 7 boys and make them one of the most successful artists ever, on top of continuing to expand their careers when it seems like there's nowhere else to go. I just can't help but feel like they've done an amazing job with them up until this point, and I hope that they can keep it up. These 2 groups were the original reason I wanted to make this video, but the overall plot ended up changing a little bit in the end. However, I still want to focus on them a little bit. While these 2 groups might not be quite where the other ones are on this list, they are still most certainly on their rise to fame as well. It's just that their journey is still on a steep upward climb. There are also most certainly other groups in their position as well, but I want to focus on these 2 specifically because of what they stand for and what it will mean for the industry as a whole for them to succeed. Let's be real, even if you're not a fan, you're rooting for them. They have had every obstacle possible thrown at them and have still managed to hurdle every last one. Yet, the industry as a whole still sees them as an outlier and shuns them for nothing more than the fact that their concept of music doesn't fit their standards. But they have still managed to stand strong and despite all that, find their own way without ever letting people talk them out of their concept that made them who they are. Personally, I think Dreamcatcher has already made quite the name for themselves, but as far as actual recognition from the industry, they haven't quite made it there yet. With every comeback, they garner more and more attention, and soon enough, people will have to recognize them for what they've done, and it is going to be so satisfying when they finally do. I seriously cannot wait to see what people will react to them finally getting the recognition they deserve. It will be a moment for sure. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Omega X is such an ambitious project and I am so glad it seems to be working out this far. If you don't know who they are, let me give you a bit of a rundown. Omega X is an 11-member group under Spire Entertainment, and while that alone makes them seem like a pretty average group, that is far from their full story. All 11 members come from disbanded boy groups that were pretty much failures in the industry's eyes. While a lot of them disbanded recently due to COVID, most of them were already nearing their end already, despite all but 2 of them being 4th gen groups. But this company saw what was going on and decided to take some of them under their wing. It might not be completely rare to have a group debut with idols who have already made their debut with other groups prior. To market them in the way they are is certainly a bold move. I actually believe that the way their contracts are written, as long as they continue to do well, the company will continue to support them. It frees both them and the company from being forced into something for years on end, and I think it's a really great move on this part. Or at least that's how I interpreted it. Omega X might have not quite reached public attention yet, but they are certainly on their way there, and wow is it so satisfying to see some of these boys finally get somewhere. It's like the biggest middle finger you could possibly give the industry. Like, look at these boys that you deemed unfit before. Look at where they are now. It really is heartwarming to see them working towards a dream that was almost ripped away from them, and it seems a lot more possible for them to catch up now. More than anyone on this list, I wanted to see these 2 groups succeed so bad, if nothing more than just for what it will stand for and what it will mean for them to finally be recognized as a valid player in the game. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to stay on the lookout for any other players coming your way.